All right, welcome and thank you for attending today's Tuesday Transition Talks at 12. This is our 11th session. This webinar series is an interagency effort between Northern Lights Interagency Council and the Interagency Coordinating Council of Duluth for parents within the 14 districts we serve. In preparing your child for the life after high school, today's topic is about vocational options and supports. This will be presented by our Vocational Rehabilitation Service representatives, Cassie Campbell, Josie Grabowski, and Renae Hampton, as well as our Northern Lights Special Ed Cooperative Work-Based Learning Coordinators, Dee LeBlanc and Nic Hanson. And without further ado, I will turn it over to our presenters.
I'm muted. So we're gonna be talking about how within high school that we've got a bunch of different experiential work opportunities or education opportunities, and how we braid some community services with some school services. And so this first slide is sort of giving a brief outline of what can be kind of expected within high school, within some of the transition resources. So experiential learning in the secondary schools can include more structured work experience programs, which is called work-based learning. But prior to getting to that, so the students enter into high school and they often, like the students that we're talking about, will have an IEP, an individual education program. And when they turn 15, by the time they get into 9th grade, that becomes a transition IEP. And it becomes focused on the student's post-secondary goal and should really funnel down into what their path through high school is going to look like. That everything is starting to work towards getting them the skills and on the path for what their life after high school is going to look like. When they turn 16, they can join the work experience program or work-based learning, which goes from starting at age 16 to age 21. And the work-based learning provides students with an opportunity to gain knowledge, skills, and work habits that increase the potential for career and college success. This learning can be sponsored by a school district for the purpose of exposing students to future options, career exploration, and career preparation, skills training. And work-based learning technically is available for gen ed and special ed kids, but we in our world focus on the kids in the special education population. Also, one of the opportunities for a lot of students at schools is to join the career and tech education classes, which tend to be your more hands-on classes where they often are focusing on different trade-related skills such as construction, welding, small engine, auto repair, and Dee, what's the other one that we were talking about?
Culinary.
Culinary, yes, yeah. So, and depending on your school, there's going to be different options for career technical education opportunities. One cool thing that a lot of our schools now are starting to partner up with the trades so that students can transfer the opportunity, the classes that they're taking in schools to be able to get hours in a specific union. So as a whole, the education, the high school experience is trying to move towards experiential opportunities and preparing students for their path after high school, whether that is in some sort of 2-year college or a certificate program, a 4-year program, or entering the workforce in some capacity. So also, while the students are in high school, the work-based learning coordinators, such as Dee and I, in collaboration with the case managers, will often start partnering with some community resources or some outside agencies, they may be called. Some of them where students may already have county services, and we will start working with the opportunities that the county services can provide. Also, we have vocational rehabilitation, who we have multiple people here that work for Voc Rehab, and they're going to explain their services. And we also have some other agencies that you see on the screen that says NEMOJT, which stands for Northeastern Minnesota Office of Jobs Training, or Jobs and Jobs Training. So, but we refer them to as NEMOJET. And they also provide an opportunity for students to get to do some career exploration, get some skills training, work with students, especially over the summer, and be able to provide some opportunities. Because as far as most of you do know, that the business world doesn't fit perfectly within a school schedule of 8 to 3, that there's a lot of opportunity that happens on the weekends and after school. And some of these agencies have a lot more flexibility than the school does to provide that opportunity. And so we try to partner and braid these services to give students the best opportunities possible. All right, Dee, do you have anything you wanted to add on that?
The only thing I was going to say is our goal is we want to work together to streamline services to provide the best opportunities for the students that we work with.
Yes. I was looking for, I was going to explain. So this wheel, all right. So this wheel is put out by MDE, and it's kind of talking about all the experiential learning opportunities that can be provided through high school. All right. That's the circle on the outside circle that says work-based learning, mentorship, job shadow, internship, etc. The circle in the center is talking about what we call as the employability skills or soft skills. These are the transferable skills that no matter what job you are doing are going to be transferable to be applicable to that job. So no matter if you're in an entry-level position or you have a professional position of some sort, there's basic expectations that any job requires. And so we try to start working on these soft skills while they're in high school. And it is shown that most of those experiences are best worked in an experiential opportunity, not in a classroom setting where you're simulating what it is to provide customer service. To learn customer service, it's best to go beyond the job and learn what it is to offer customer service. So within our schools, we have the work-based learning program, which is often a partnership with the community organization and the school providing an on-the-job training. We often do job shadows, which is the student going for a short-term opportunity to go to a business for, a half a day to a full day and kind of see what's happening in that job environment. Or an internship, which can be a short-term or more of a long-term opportunity. Normally it has a specific time frame where a student goes and learns on the job for a few hours or a couple days a week, what it is to be part of that team, be part of that organization. And these can be paid or non-paid. Then we also do tours or field trips where, again, that's going to be more of a group opportunity where maybe a handful of kids goes to a business and checks out what it is, what are they doing behind the scenes at this job. And then we also can do entrepreneurship, which is students can start their own business and learn the whole process on what it is to be a business owner. Now, pre-COVID, all of this was done in person for the most part. Now, as COVID has hit, some of these opportunities have shifted to more in a virtual opportunity. As we're getting vaccinated and things are opening up, we're hoping that things are going to move back to a more in-person opportunity as things become more safe. So Dee, do you have anything that I missed you want to?
Just that we do spend some time focusing based on needs. We'll spend time on those knowledge and skills that employability skills that students may need to focus on and help them to build those skills. As Nic had mentioned, during COVID, we've been creative in doing job shadows, virtual job shadows, and special projects for different companies to kind of help do different types of work experience.
So I'm going to jump in. My name is Josie Grabowski, and I work for Vocational Rehabilitation Services. For those who aren't familiar, Vocational Rehabilitation Services, or VRS, is a state and federally funded agency that works with individuals with disabilities in developing and pursuing employment-related goals. One population of individuals we work with specifically is transition-aged youth, and we have a couple different programs that are available to students. The first one we're going to talk about is one that myself and my colleague Renae Hampton manage. It's called the Pre-Employment Transition Services Program, or PREETS. And the purpose of the program is to provide an early start to job exploration and to assist students with disabilities in identifying their career interests. So we want to make sure that students have the tools that they need to find and maintain employment, as well as the support and guidance that they would require to explore different career pathways. The goal of the program is to improve the transition of students with disabilities from school to education or to an employment outcome. So we want to make sure that a student, by the time they reach the end of their high school career, is prepared to transition into whatever their next stage is, whether that's going to college or into a training program or moving right into the workforce. To be eligible for the program, an individual has to be considered a student with a disability, and there are three pieces that make up that definition. First, a student has to be between the ages of 14 to 21. So we can start working with students as early as the 9th grade, and then we generally stick with them throughout high school and potentially even after, depending on what their post-secondary plan is. Next, the student has to have a documented disability. So most often that will come in the form of a 504 plan or an IEP, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not a requirement. They just have to have some kind of documentation stating that they do have a disability to be eligible. And then lastly, the student has to be enrolled in an education program that provides a recognized credential. So most commonly that will be a student that is enrolled in high school or in a GED program. So that's kind of the background of the program. The next thing that I want to show is just a short video that goes over the actual services that are available to students that are enrolled in the program. It's important to keep in mind when listening to the video that not all services are going to be applicable to every student. And when a student is enrolled in the program, we like to individualize services as much as possible. So when listening to the video, just keep in mind, what services are standing out as something that would be applicable to you or your student. Let me just pull that up.
Sometimes you need to get away from the kids for grown-up time, or get away from the grown-ups for kid time.
Meet Jordan.
Hi there. I'm excited to be busy earning money and getting hands-on experience at an animal shelter, which is related to the job I've been dreaming about ever since I was little, being a veterinary technician.
Jordan, alongside thousands of other Minnesota high schoolers, would never have had this opportunity to earn money trying out jobs if it weren't for the VRS Student Career Services Program. These career services are available to students who are ages 14 through 21 and who need extra support to be successful at school or work. VRS partners with high schools to arrange for or provide any of the following 5 services at no charge to students. First up, we have job exploration. What have you always wanted to do? Even if you have no idea, this is where you'll find out your interests and strengths and narrow down a list of your favorite jobs. Now that you have a list of your favorite jobs, maybe you would like to try something out through a work experience. Whether you want to become a vet tech, welder, mechanic, or nurse, you will have the resources and support you need to pursue your career goals. This can also lead to paid jobs where you can earn money to save for a car or college, or just have cash to pay for what is important to you. Not sure how to get a job? Good news! Work readiness training is also available. Here you'll learn the basic tools and how-tos to find and keep a job. What if you need additional training to get that job? Training or college exploration can help you take the next steps for the job you want. Options include community, technical, and four-year colleges, certificate and apprenticeship programs, and more. Lastly, we have self-advocacy training. This service will teach you how to make decisions, voice what is important to you, and speak up for what you need. VRS has student career services available across the state. You can find the VRS staff that serves your school by going to mn.gov/deed/VRS-students.
With the guidance I got from VRS, I was able to decide the right services for me. Now I'm earning money and preparing for college at the same time. Check it out. VRS Student Career Services might be able to help you too.
So that is an overview of the Pre-Employment Transition Services Program. Next, I'm going to hand it over to Cassie Campbell to talk about vocational rehabilitation services for older students or those who need a little bit more hands-on assistance.
Hello, my name is Cassie Campbell, and I am a vocational rehabilitation counselor. So part of the vocational rehabilitation program is to provide transitional services for students seeking employment after high school. We work with students with disabilities in solidifying their employment goals and making a plan and helping them figure out what that plan is and how to accomplish it. So we assist students in identifying any training that might be best for helping them reach their goals. One difference between my services and the services that Josie and Renae would provide is we continue to work together after high school to achieve their goals. So they don't necessarily need to be in a training program. So the goal with vocational rehabilitation services is to improve the transition of students with disabilities from school to an employment outcome. So that looks like working with students from the time that they're in high school till the time that they have reached their employment outcome and goal. All that a student needs is a documented disability to be eligible for our program. And then we would continue working together through school and then up until, like I said, they get that employment goal. And then the next slide that we're going to cover is different options for pathways that students can take in terms of working with people to get to that career outcome.
Awesome. So my name is Renae Hampton. I am a PREATS representative with Vocational Rehab Services, and I'm going to cover the first example. So within this example, the student is not going to require a significant amount of supports to pursue their career goal. The supports that they are going to receive are going to be made up of a partnership between the PREATS program and the services the student receive through their district. So to start, if you look at 9th grade, the student and their family are going to begin talking about the transition plan within their IEP, and they'll get connected with the PREATS rep to begin talking about their career goals and different options available to them. So the most common way that this connection happens is the case manager reaches out to the PREATS rep stating that they have a student who might benefit from the program or may be interested in it. And then I would reach out to the student to talk about what the student's interests are, talk about the Preemployment program, and then the student would decide if they're interested in enrolling into the program or not. This is not the only way that this connection can happen, but it is the most common. So for this example, the student does decide to enroll in the program, and the student has voiced an interest in the culinary arts. So they're also going to enroll into a cooking class within their school. Then moving into 10th grade, the student will have decided that they are in fact interested in pursuing a career in the culinary arts, which is going to trigger a couple different things. First, they're going to enroll in additional classes within their school that focus in on the culinary arts. They're also going to be connected with a work-based learning coordinator, and they're going to continue to work within the Preemployment program to ensure that they can either receive credit or a paycheck for their work within the work experience. So I'm going to let Dee or Nic talk a little bit about what that work-based learning experience can look like in the 10th grade.
So in the 10th grade, typically a work experience is going to start out within the school setting. We try to get the area of interest. So hopefully if they're interested in culinary, we would do something with culinary. And then our goal is to then kind of work and kind of go out into the, kind of proceed out into the community to do a work experience in that area after. We had kind of, you know, at 16, when we're starting doing this, everyone has to find a job. So we like to do the ABCs of jobs, which is a job, B, you're going to get a better job, and then C, you get that career. So we all have to start somewhere. So we're starting with that job, the first job.
Awesome, thanks, Dee. So then transitioning into 11th grade, the student is going to be able to use their job seeking skills to obtain a part-time job in the community at a local restaurant. So this is a point where this student may differ a little bit from the next two examples that we're going to talk about, because the student's going to be able to use the last 2 years of their training and experience and apply that to their life in the community without a lot of extra support. So this student may be able to create a resume, complete a job application, go to an interview with not much support or some minimal support from the Preemployment program. This doesn't mean that the supports are ending, but instead the Preemployment rep is going to start working with the student to look at options post high school. And so the thrust of the services are going to begin looking at the future, whether that's secondary education options, different training programs, or continuing to work in the community to further develop their work experience. And then in the 12th grade, the student's going to continue to work independently. And then the student and the team are going to work together to apply to whatever program that student felt would be a best fit for them. So this might look like filling out an application to the program, looking at applying to different scholarship opportunities, learning about financial aid opportunities, and then also just discussing the transition and the different expectations and differences in transitioning from high school to college. And so that is our first example, and we will transition into the second.
Cassie, were you able to discuss these next two students?
Yes, I can. So the next option is they look very similar. So this next pathway in 9th grade, a student would connect with the Preemployment rep, so either Josephine or Renae, and they would 9th and 10th grade look very similar in that they would connect with the Preemployment rep, and then they would connect with work-based learning and look at what opportunities work-based learning would have. In 11th grade, there would be a handoff. So then the student would apply to connect with their vocational rehabilitation counselor to help further assist in looking at what those goals look like. So they would participate in a school or community-based work experience, and then we would continue to explore those various work opportunities, in this case, those culinary development options. And then in 12th grade, the student would pursue an extended work experience or a part-time job facilitated by Vocational Rehab Services. And then vocational rehab services, along with their school case manager, would work with the student to identify full-time employment or further training, and then continued working together beyond graduation. And then the last option that a student could pursue in the culinary arts. So the student and their family would begin discussing transition plans in their IEP, and discuss those skill building opportunities and possible work experiences starting in the 9th grade. And then in 10th grade, they would start working on those pre-employment skills in a transition class, oftentimes working on those resume building, interview skills. Some of the schools are building PAYS labs, which are just skill building opportunities. And that's when the student would also, again, get connected with their work-based learning coordinator. And then in 11th grade, the student would work with transition supports to participate in a school or community-based work experience. And they would then get connected with their VRS counselor for enrollment. And then the team considers whether county services are needed for ongoing employment support. And then in 12th grade, we start kind of finalizing those plans for after graduation. So working together with their case manager and county workers, they would finalize those graduation plans and what happens after graduation. And we would continue to build upon those school and community-based work experiences for after they graduate, so that we can start looking at permanent employment after graduation.
So I think this would be the space that if we had any questions, but I don't think that we do, unless Jess, do you have any questions that you think would be just pertinent information or anything that you feel like maybe we missed discussing or could go into more detail about?
All built upon what the students' skills, abilities, and interests are. So each service is individualized no matter what route you go with. Because what ultimately matters is what the student is interested in wanting to do and trying to make what they want to do happen to the best of anybody's ability. So everything that, they volunteer to do it because it's their employment goals and their employment outcomes. So they determine the services, they determine what they want to do.
Great. Is there any other final thoughts that anyone would like to share? Otherwise, I can put up our contact information.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That I think a work experience is a time to build those employability skills or soft skills, and to explore and find out in high school what you like and don't like about jobs. I mean, it's a great learning opportunity.
I think it's also important to note, at least about vocational rehabilitation services, that those services are completely free to the students and the family. So there's really no downside. It's just a good opportunity to get some experience. And the program works really closely with the school to make sure that the student is supported and pursuing opportunities that feel relevant and important to them.
What happens if an individual moves? Do the services with Voc Rehab go with them, or what does that look like? So services with Voc Rehab transfer. So say a student moves from Cloquet to Duluth. The student, if they're still in school, would be able to connect with their case manager and connect with the counselor that serves that school, and their file would just be transferred, and they'd be able to continue working towards their employment goals. And that would go towards anywhere in the state. Even if, they are going to say your student graduates and they graduated from Cloquet and they're looking at going to school at the University of Minnesota at the Maine U, then services would typically stay with the counselor in Cloquet because that is their origination. But if they move their physical address, then they could connect with a counselor down in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area and work towards getting employment down there. All right, thank you each for your time today. I think there was a lot of great information with what you presented today.
Yeah, no problem. I just want to note that we do have contact information in this slide, and I think that the slide is available. Maybe just you could say where the slide is available to people if they want to go find that information.
Yes, it'll be on Northern Lights website. So if you just type in www.nlsec.org, we have a landing page there with all of our transition seminars that we've offered, along with all of the slideshows uploaded as well. So all that information will be on there. Thank you.